Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss a special topic, which is the LGBTQ community and creating an inclusive classroom for our LGBTQ students. But really, everything that I'm providing you today can also be used for anyone and everyone in your classroom. So before we begin, I would like to tell you all a little story. I am going to change the name of this student to protect their identity since this is getting posted on YouTube. But when I was teaching in California, I had a student who on their roster, their name was Jennifer. And so on the very first day of class, I'm taking roll and I don't know anyone in the class. And just like imagine the Key and Peele skit where like the substitute teacher's taking roll. That's not me, but I'm there taking roll. And I call on Jennifer and I'm looking around the room for a Jennifer and nobody's raising their hand. And some students are looking at a particular individual um, who doesn't look very feminine or masculine to me. And they kept looking at this individual and they were getting red in the face. And I didn't know. I didn't know anything about this individual. I was not told by the school about anything. And so I just kind of moved on. And then this individual spoke up and said, "My name is not Jennifer. My name is Jay." And I said, "Oh, okay, great. Jay, welcome. I'm so sorry you were on my rosters, Jennifer. I apologize." And we moved on. And then after class, um, the individual formerly named Jennifer explained to me that they were transitioning. And I was like, "Oh, wow. I personally have never taught a student who was transitioning." And I asked Jay to come to my office and just kind of explain what I can do to make sure that the process would not affect their learning in my classroom. So, besides making sure I use the correct pronouns and name, what else I could provide for this student. And it was incredible. The student was very wonderful and open to me, and during our meeting explained their personal life story and how they got to where they are today and some of the challenges they face at our particular school, particularly with the restrooms and the locker room, and then explain to me how they would like to be referred to in class. But I'll be honest, I made a lot of mistakes. I would refer to Jay as she, or I would say yes, ma'am, when called upon, and then I would quickly apologize. And luckily, Jay was a very forgiving individual who was not very offended. But throughout our time as teachers, we are always going to be meeting people who are going to identify themselves in various ways. So I think this is a very important topic for us to discuss. You'll notice on our learning management system that I've posted multiple articles about how to create inclusive learning environments for students that are part of this community. But also, I've provided you with definitions for terms for this community as well, because I find that sometimes we don't really understand what pansexual means. What does queer mean? All sorts of different terms that individuals may use to describe themselves. So please take a look at the information that I have provided you. So here's the reality. 85% of LGBT students reported being verbally harassed, 41% reported being physically harassed, and 18% reported being physically assaulted at school in the past year because of their sexual orientation. Close to 70% of LGBT students reported being verbally harassed, close to 30% reported being physically harassed, and close to 12% reported being physically assaulted at school in the past year because of their gender expression. Over 70% have heard homophobic remarks such as faggot or dyke frequently or often at school. And nearly 2/3 of these students reported that they felt unsafe in school because of their sexual orientation, and more than a third felt unsafe because of their gender expression. Imagine trying to figure out who you are and express who you are and not feeling safe doing it in a place that you spend the majority of your days. You spend over 8 hours a day in school. And so these poor students who are just trying to figure out who they are, particularly for my middle school and high school teachers, you are going to have students that are really struggling with this. They may not have a safe place at home to express themselves, and then when they get to school, they're also not safe. So, what can you do? What can you do to ensure that your students know that your classroom is a safe space and that you are not going to be putting up with verbal or physical assaults on these students or bullying? So, one thing you can do is you could consider hanging a rainbow flag or putting up a sticker on your door or by your desk indicating if you are an ally. If you notice when you walk by my office, I have an ally sticker on my office to indicate that if a student needs to talk or does not feel safe, that I am one who will be supportive of them. A lot of kids will never notice it. So many of your students may never notice it, but the queer kids will, and the kids with queer families will. And at least one student will ask you what the sticker means, and then you'll have an opportunity to talk about it. So you can explain how your classroom is a safe space for these students if you choose to put something up like that in your classroom. Also, call students what they want to be called, as long as it's not offensive to others. You notice on the first day of class, I asked you all to tell me what name you wanted to be called by and what pronouns you preferred. Some students may want she, her, he, him, they, them, and this is becoming a much more popular phenomenon, even in the business world. So if you ever go to a professional conference, many of the name tags now not only have your name, but ask you for the pronouns that you'd like to be referred by. Also, ask for specific names. For example, I have a Melanie that likes to go by Mel, or I may have a Samantha that prefers to go by Sam. And again, when we call students by the name that they prefer, that's that's allowing you to show your respect. It's allowing you to create that rapport with your students, and it's also allowing you to get to know them on a deeper level than just a human being sitting at a desk in your classroom. Please stop the "that's so gay." What am I asking for you to do? That goes for fag too and any other ways that kids test out their moxies by using homophobic slurs to bully, tease, or flirt. If you're going to be teaching in elementary or middle school, those students may not even understand what that term means. I am sure we are all guilty of using a term like that. So even when you have a lesson, a quiz, a new seating chart to get through, you need to stop the slurs as soon as you hear them and address them. So even when you're 40 minutes into a fifth class you've taught that day, stop it when you hear it. And even when you suspect that they don't understand the meaning of what they're saying, stop it when you hear it and explain to them that that is not going to be one of your classroom norms. That goes for just about anything that you do not want to hear spoken in your classroom. So this is part of that classroom management. I also highly encourage you to avoid grouping students by gender. Use birthdays, use ice cream preferences, pet preferences, or debate a hot topic. I love grouping students by, would you rather be out to dinner with someone with bad body odor or bad breath? Oh, it gets them all talking. They think it's gross. They think it's hilarious. And it has nothing to do with their gender, their race, or anything else. And that's how we start the class when I group them. Um, so I would definitely say try to find some interesting icebreakers that don't involve gender or gender norms. And also recognize that we're not experts, right? We're going to make mistakes, and occasionally we're going to be insensitive or say something insensitive. So humble yourself and apologize where necessary. Learn from your mistakes And always try to broaden your understanding of LGBTQ issues so you can best support all of your students. J for me was an eye-opening experience and really helped me understand some of the challenges that my transgender students are facing while they're transitioning and even after they transition, and just what the process of all that is about. And it was so eye-opening to me, but I was not perfect after I met with Jay. I still would accidentally use the wrong pronouns, or I would accidentally, use the wrong name. And luckily, he was very forgiving towards me, but other students may not be. So always humble yourself and apologize and let them know that you are learning as well. Here are some resources for you all. And of course, please look at those articles. Thank you so much and have a great day.